It was like super simple business because it was just a website. The name was like net cost. I hate this name, by the way.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to teach that in class, but I think we could have a lot of fun.
I went to Akmal Paziv. I said, I'm not your competitor. Yes, I also deliver food. Be my mentor. And I also want some market share here. So to be honest, it's not my idea.
27 billion dollar fund manager showing interest in inviting me to his office, in the following days. He said, why don't you come over? When I was there, the chief of like private equity investments of EBRD was sitting waiting.
And I think it's going to be the only time and the only poker game when you put on stake the shares in company.
Oh, hey, now that's an idea. You try to say, hey, like, what are the cool businesses I can do? What are the cool things I can do that, have a billion competitors back home? All right. What are the things that I can create here, right? That, where there's less space back home to do, right? So for example, like if I created, say, an incubator in San Francisco, I'd be competing against Y Combinator. Right, and it wouldn't be right. I'd have to attract ridiculous amounts of funding. Right. Whereas, and the same argument I give to VCs is that when you go to a new market like Uzbekistan, it's a very wide open market where there's still the space is still there for you to build something cool. So that's my personal take on it.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's the kind of people that we want to kind of attract, because the nomads who are going around the country world looking for themselves a specific niche maybe, or to test their concepts.
Right.
And it's an interesting playground to play with all sorts of ideas at a minimum, at a fraction of the cost of what they would spend in America to do. Same. But again, of course, it's
I wouldn't
perfect match.
I'm not sure I would frame it that way. It's not so much that things are. I mean, not so much as a fraction of the cost. As the thing is that the same pool of capital, right, goes a lot farther. Right. So you can do a lot more.
Yeah, that's overstated then.
Yeah,
you're right. Yeah, that's the right. Okay. So are we starting?
Have we started?
Yeah.
It was just a try.
That was the warm up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Azizbek, you ready?
Yes.
Welcome back to the next episode of RS Podcast Special. Today we're glad to have Stefan Lin of Swift Launch back for the following podcast, as well as Azizbek from Sug'urta Bozor, one of the fast-growing startups in Uzbekistan. I welcome you both to our special podcast.
Well, hey everyone! Once again, it's Stephen Lin. I am very glad to be back here at RS Podcasts. I'm also very pleased and honored to introduce my friend Aziz from Sug'urta Bozor, who have done incredible things using new technology and disrupting the insurance market here in Uzbekistan.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for having me today. So I watched several episodes of this RS podcast in both languages, because in English you had only one, right? It's very good that we're having podcasts, and at least we're having discussions about VC, discussions about startups, so that people can know what is startup and what is VC and how they can attract money, how they can serve users, and etc. If you talk about Sug'urta Bozor, just a small intro for the audience.
Cool.
So we started Sug'urta Bozor 2 years ago. It was like super simple business because it was just a website. If you had a car, you would go to our website. The name was like super cool, net cost. I hate this name, by the way. You would go to netcost.uz and you would buy insurance policy, and insurance company would deliver through the courier services your paper insurance policy throughout Uzbekistan. And then Uzbekistan, then change happened in insurance industry. Now we have online insurance. And then we became Sug'urta Bozor, which means insurance bazaar. There is a project in India, if you know insurance bazaar, very big project. So we took inspiration from them and we started to sell insurance policies online. So if you have a car or you want to travel abroad, you go to sugurtabozor.uz, you buy insurance policy. That's it.
You know, I am actually going to travel in a couple of weeks, so I have to drop by. I have to ask you for a discount.
You have it.
Okay. But no, I'm here mostly because you guys are a fantastic company, and it's always fun to talk to an entrepreneur, people in the tech space. So I'm really glad. Thank you for having me here, and thank you for coming.
Thank you.
But yeah, so one thing I've noticed is it's always, no matter what country I go to, I always meet fantastic people, especially who are entrepreneurs. Can you tell me, like, I guess, a little bit more about your own experience?
Yeah,
like,
sure.
what was it? Like, what other companies have you started? What have you learned along the way, etc.?
So who is entrepreneur? So in Uzbek language, I'm not so happy about Uzbek language in terms of the word entrepreneur and businessman, because people mix them up and people like use as synonyms, entrepreneur and businessman. It's not.
They use it interchangeably.
Yeah. So they say that you're an entrepreneur if you have like a small shop. For me, entrepreneur, when you're grinding and when you're creating something new, you're an entrepreneur. If you're using existing system, you're a businessman. And entrepreneur works himself, businessman doesn't work. For businessmen, employees work, system works, and all this work. So how did I start? I started in school years. I had very good relationship with my teachers in school. So I asked them to request from my fellow students, referat. We call it referat. It's a small document, like a coursework. And the only guy that had a printer and computer was me in the class. And then years after, I came to realize that I was lobbying my interests. And I saw that in very big scale in several countries.
Excellent.
So this is how I started. And then I went to Westminster University. I loved the experience and I loved the self-learning process. And you can relate if you're entrepreneur. Entrepreneur is self-learning way of creating something. Because to do something, you need to learn yourself. And while studying at Westminster University, I worked at several places. Steven knows this story. I worked at several places, and each time I would go to the boss and I said, this department is not working effectively. This doesn't work, and etc. And the only reply, like most of the replies that I had, are you like smart guy? Are you the smartest in the room? We know the system. We're in this industry for 10, 15 years, and etc. And after having several this kind of replies, I started my company.
Right. So you've had enough.
Yes.
Right.
I started my company. It was delivery company. At that time, we had Express24. I think we have it right now too. So I went to Akmal Paziv. I said, I'm not your competitor. Yes, I also deliver food. Be my mentor. Give me all your data. Because you are not afraid of me, right? You're Akmal Paziv. You are not afraid of me. Give me the data. And I also want some market share here in Uzbekistan. Why not to share, right? Like Godfather says, why not to share, right? Why not to share? I said, why not?
I'm gonna tell him. I'm gonna call him Godfather.
Yeah.
See how he responds.
So why not to share? I said, and he refused. I tried. We didn't have ecosystem at that time yet. We didn't have IT park. They were just launching and gear started to work. So I changed my direction. I started to deliver alcohol products. And then I found out that there is super high demand, but you cannot advertise it. So after 1.5 years of trying, failing, and etc., so we closed this. And then, yes.
Yeah. One question. What inspired you to go and talk to the big players like Akmal Paziv?
First of all, I don't think that he's a big player. Right. And I don't think that he was a big player at that time and right now. Why? Because we had Bringo and we had Stolik also. There were like several players, first of all. Why I went to Akmal Paziv? Because I was participating at a media show at My5 for entrepreneurs. You would pitch to the businessman and then you would go to his company. So I had Akmal Paziv there, Husan Mamasaidov, if I'm not mistaken. That's why I talked to him directly.
So you had previous experience of exchange of kind of ideas and
yeah, of course. I knew him, he knew me. So
okay.
Yeah. So
that makes it much more easier, of course.
Yeah.
Right. If you could just reiterate on the origination, the ideation process of Sug'urta Bozor. What kind of was a kind of turning point in you deciding to pivot, if we can call it pivoting, like from an ordinary website to a marketplace?
So to be honest, it's not my idea to start NetCost. Two friends, they started this company. At the time I was working at American communication agency, and I was looking for a project to do as a shareholder, as a co-founder.
Right.
And I asked Universe to send me this project. I asked each day, every time.
Wow.
And after several months of asking from the Universe, like in Alchemist, Paulo Coelho, right?
You shall receive.
Alchemist, yeah. So I got a call from Buharian guy, my friend. He's also from Westminster University.
Right.
He was looking for marketeer. And I said, do you know that I'm marketeer? And he's saying, no, I didn't know that. And he said that he was looking for a marketeer. The project is NetCost, we sell insurance policies. And I saw the project, I saw the numbers, I saw the reference companies around the world in US. I saw how big they are unicorns, how much they earn, how many employees they have, and I got excited. And I told them to, by the way, I don't ask. I said that it's a very big project, but I don't want to work as marketeer. And it was a long pause from my side. The pause is the best communication tool you can use. And they made me offer. I cannot refuse. They said, can we open a new company with equal shares?
Right.
I said, oh, I love it.
Equal shares among the three founders.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. And I love this. But I said, I hate the name. I hate it. Because I asked from my fellow friends, I said, NetCost, what comes to your mind? And they said, internet provider. I said, yeah, NetCost it sounds logical, yeah.
I think accountant too.
That's why we started Sug'urta Bozor, and we started as B2C marketplace. We got super excited about Sravni.ru and Banki.ru in Russia. Initially, we wanted to go like into that direction, like all the banks, all the insurance companies, and etc. And then we found out the guy from Sravni.ru, we found the guy from Banki.ru, we found right guys at the right place at the right time, and we asked, so what's the catch about Banki.ru and Sravni.ru? They said investment in marketing. As a marketeer, I don't like to invest in marketing.
You don't?
Yeah, I don't like it.
Why is that?
Because if you can invest, it means that somebody else can invest. So you're competing with budgets. You don't have to compete with budgets. You can compete with human capital, you can compete with business model, you can compete like elsewhere with the service, but you shouldn't compete with budget. Because there is always a giant, they can eat you, right? So that's why we found out that marketplace is not place to go, but we have a cash flow. Then we analyze and we talk to customers that most founders don't do. It's a pity. So we went to insurance companies and I asked the question, why you're not incentivizing us to sell this product? And they were like, I don't know, and etc. After talking like several hours and having one hookah together, they told that because there is a fraud, because we cannot track it, because this and that. And then we came to conclusion that we need AI and we need the solution that help insurance companies to analyze the car, to inspect the car. So right now I'm talking about Casco product, which is motor insurance. So if you buy motor insurance, let's say at gross.uz today, instantly you'll receive link from our service. Instantly. When you go through the link, you see the instruction and you start to inspect your car, analyze the car. Now, insurance companies are earning more profit, 30% more profit. Why? Because the guy who bought policy takes the video. They don't have to send the guy. They don't have to like call 10 times. Where are you? Can we see the car? Is it like clean? Should we clean it? And etc. And you cannot fraud the system because there are special mechanisms we took from abroad that you cannot fool it. Like you can change the video, do something, put something, but you cannot fool it. Right. That's why insurance companies are using it right now. Right.
So that's really interesting that this model works here because so one, the insurance industry, right? Like it's like a lot of the costs, at least from what I know from the US, is late like labor, actually getting a guy to go out to the car, actually inspecting the car, and then things like say car rental services. Right, every time a car comes back, they have to inspect the car. Yes. I once sold a car to CarMax, right? I don't know how CarMax is doing now, but they had to spend a ton of time going through this like 30-point checklist. And I'm thinking, you know what? If the person returning the car just walked around the car with a video camera, right? I mean, you're making a great profit in a country with fairly low wages. So I imagine if you go to a place and you save all this work for these companies, I can see a lot of people overseas using that kind of service.
Yes, and I want to talk about my experience in US. I'm super lucky guy. Mm-hmm. I worked at the company of Joe Biden's friend, and I met a lot of guys, global chairman of Ernst & Young, global chairman of Nutella, vice president at the Aon Insurance Company, vice president of the Bank of America, and etc. Mm-hmm. And at that time, while talking to the vice president of Aon Insurance, his name is Gary Goldberg, he's younger brother of my boss, previous ex-boss in US. So I was super curious. I said, what technologies do you use? I didn't know about Sug'urta Bozor at that time that I will start this project. I asked and the answer was super amazing. They didn't have technologies. And the question was, why? Mm-hmm. And then I started to analyze Russian market. Do they have technologies? Yes, they do. And I asked why. And I know the answer. Because Russia started after 50 years than US. That's why they are using new technologies. Since United States started like 100 years ago, 150 years ago, in many spheres, in banking industry, in insurance industry, and etc., they use super old technologies. And then I said, Uzbekistan, it's a right place to do technology companies. Why? Because in US, if you have Sug'urta Bozor kind of project and you want to integrate to insurance company, you won't be able to integrate. Because
there are lots of legacy issues as well.
Yeah. Legacy issues, first of all. Second of all, the model of insurance industry is super different. Here, you go to insurance company, you get the API and you just integrate.
Yeah, the legislative requirements are also very, I think, complex and sophisticated. And this is what makes Uzbekistan, for startups specifically, a special place because of lack of regulation. Previously, we used to see lack of regulation as something as a disadvantage. But in the modern innovation-driven world, lack of innovation is seen as an opportunity to try and test all sorts of business concepts. Uzbekistan, being a new player in modern financial global infrastructure, has got a lot of regulatory work to do yet, and in Western context, they have so-called sandboxes, but here you have just a vacuum of regulation which allows you to do all sorts of things without being
Yeah,
hard pressed by regulatory restrictions.
You can do a lot of cool things. And I was talking to a friend earlier, like, because, like Uzbekistan is in a position to leapfrog like generations of technology. Like, whereas in the States, like, for example, if you're in healthcare or you're in, fintech or a range of different industries, you have to deal with the legacy players. You have to deal with the fact that, you might be connecting to a system that's 20, 30 years old, right? And you can't scrap the whole thing without spending tons and tons of money and tons of implementation time. Whereas here, everything is fresh, everything is new, right? I mean, why is JFK such a horrible airport? Why is the subway system so terrible? Because they built it a really long time ago, and rebuilding it, right, doesn't make a lot of economic sense. But if you're starting with a clean slate, right, there are so many new things you can do, especially with the new technologies we have available now.
That's right. Another thing is, considering the remarks Aziz has made, I'm also thinking about, for the lack of a better term, copycatting from, developed markets. Mm-hmm. Can prove to be pretty successful.
Oh, yes.
In smaller markets like Uzbekistan. Talking about insurance, back in the day, it goes back at least 15 years. In the UK, there used to be at least 10 that I was aware of marketplaces for insurance, and sometimes I really get surprised with the pace of technology and know-how transfer from more advanced geographies. And then also it's the question of leapfrogging is, on one hand, it's a great opportunity. On the other hand, the rate of adoption of proven and tested business models and practices and know-how is also a huge opportunity from a standpoint of local startup founders, and also from standpoint of Western players wishing to kind of see how the market will kind of accept the solutions that they already have successfully launched.
It's so I started an incubation / venture studio here. I recruit young people, and it's incredible. Because I came to Central Asia 10 years ago, between different countries. And what's really interesting now, my friend just recently told me about Generation Alpha, after Generation Z. I'm like, gosh, now I feel old. But what's really interesting is that the world is leveling at an unprecedented pace. Because I remember the first time I was teaching, in Central Asia, everything I was saying was pretty new. I was, people never heard what I was talking about before. But nowadays, when I recruit young people, when I hire young people, this is the first generation that grew up natively with social media. As in, for me, social media was something, that I got in college. And I'm dating myself here. But for the current generation, they grew up with it as a natural part of their lives. As in, if I hire a social media person, right, I'm hiring someone from that generation because they understand the nuance and context. And so, some influencer, right, in New York, or some guy playing with, video game mechanics, right, with a toilet head and, skibbity toilet, right, in East Asia can immediately become a global sensation, where ideas and new ways of doing things are transferred instantaneously, which gives this generation a very unique, and it's one thing that I'm so attracted to Uzbekistan about, because it's a concurrence of two unusual positions or two unusual situations. You have the coming of age of a generation that grew up naturally with tech. And then you also, at the same time, have the macroeconomics of a country that is opening up virtually overnight, right? In terms of country terms, this is, an instant, right? So you have a generation that is plugged into the world and the internet, coming of age at the same time that the country is opening. All right, and that gives you a unique window, a brief window of time, where you have, a generation of people who want to do new things, who have the access to information to do so, and have the skill set to do so at the same time as the country as a whole. And that's a very unique set of circumstances, right? Where, for example, you're not fighting against legacy players, right? You're not fighting against, say, old ways or you are fighting against old ways of doing things, but there's also a consensus agreement that new ways are needed.
Yes.
Right. And I tell students here that you are a very lucky generation, and in many ways that's hard for you to see. I mean, it's hard for you to see when you're in that environment, but from the outside, I say you're a very lucky generation, because you have the resources, the knowledge resources of the entire world, right, in a market that is amenable to using these new ideas.
Yeah, Azizbek, if you could tell me about the monetization stage of the project that you've started. At what stage did you start? Have you reached the break-even point? This is interesting because markets differ. Uzbekistan is unique in many ways, and in terms of reaching the break-even point, it shouldn't be an exception.
Oh, I love questions about break-even. We haven't done it yet. We're losing like $6,000-7,000 each month, and it's a normal for a startup, because when you start it, the main aim of the startup is get the users, get the clients. That's why we are not focused to be profitable in short term, because it's insurance, and when you have one product and you have enough users, you need to go to another product. And when you have something, so you invest and go further. That's why we're not in the break-even. We'll be in break-even maybe in 1 year, but it's not the goal. Goal is to get the users.
Right.
As Peter Thiel said, I love his saying, by the way, from 0 to 1 in his book. He said, if you don't want to monopoly, then why you are doing this?
This takes us to the next question. Do you see yourself as the monopoly at the moment?
No. We hold 1% of the market right now, and we have super potential. If just we hold 10% of the market, we are not going to be monopoly. But we want to be monopoly in the mind of our customers. What it means is we want to be top of mind.
When it comes to the question of building monopolies, especially in the context of 0 to 1, it's mostly about raising the entry barrier so high that others cannot catch up.
Yes.
Because the quick followers are always, there to catch up, capitalize on the newly proven idea, and yours is not an exception. Your exceptional performance, according to your own story of the background of the project, also clearly speaks of the huge potential available in the market. And where do you see the entry barrier? Like difficult to climb, difficult to overcome barrier to the other potential players who may, readily deploy the available, solutions that are easily or equally accessible.
I love the question, and I love the barriers. Even if I have the barrier, I love it, because recently I was listening to the podcast about the barriers and the hardships, and the guy. Anchor, he was saying that everything helps you is difficult. Reading is difficult, gym is difficult, early in the morning if you wake up is difficult, to eat less is difficult, diet is difficult. That's why if something is difficult, it's going to help you, first of all. And second of all, regarding barriers, there are several barriers that are super useful. First barrier is, of course, technology. If you have super innovative technology, this is organic barrier that you can create for your future competitors. Or you can have exceptional customer service. This is super barrier because there are so many IT companies or there are so many insurance companies in Uzbekistan. Let's say there are 42 insurance companies for now. Try call centers. Try to call centers, and you will see what kind of barriers they don't have, because they do not invest in that. Talking about Sug'urta Bozor, recently one giant company called Click, you know them, payment system, they started to sell insurance policies online, and everybody was asking what's going to happen to Sug'urta Bozor, and I said we're going to earn more money, and they said why? Because Click is also selling insurance policies online. So I said I will turn my enemy into my friend. It means that I will create a service so that Click can use, or if Click doesn't use, insurance company will use. If insurance company uses that service, then Click will use that to sell insurance policy. And this is the barrier. So why I'm an economist by myself. And first of all, to go back to your point, like leapfrogging and etc., I love the solo model. There is a solo model, not solo like one person. There is a W. It's a surname of a professor. So he says there is resources, there is human capital. Resource is land and etc. Human capital is people, and you have a technology. Only technology demolishes your frames. And with a small country or a small city like Bukhara, let's say 1 million people, you can leapfrog, you can create something super big. And we analyzed at Sug'urta Bozor what kind of barrier we can create. So there's several ways we're going right now. First, we started from call center. And second, we started with call center. I was call center operator. Because if you're a founder, you need to talk to your customers. After you talk to your customers, you have the data. You have frequently asked questions and you have pain. Only after that, you can hire someone. Then we hire the person. Then we put the IVR system. Then we put the CRM system. Now we're working on the customer service. But we're also working on technology. So we want to create all the barriers available for the next comers, first of all. And second of all, not all, because we cannot, on the legal side, we are not government. We cannot create this kind of barriers to be monopoly. All except legal side will create all the barriers first. Second, right now, we don't think much about barriers. You know why? Because we hold only 1% of the market. We shouldn't think about barriers. When you hold 50% of the market, you need to think about barriers. Right now, all the players in the industry, in the insurance industry, are helping us to expand the market. After market is expanded and reached its limits, maybe in 10, 15 years, then you can think, how do I win competition? Right now, we don't have competition. We have only players that help to expand the market. Let's take Korzinka. I love this example. The competitor of Korzinka is not Macro, it's Bazaar. You know why? Because Havas, Korzinka, and Macro, all of them together, I think, and what I firmly believe, don't even hold 15% of the market. They shouldn't compete with each other. I was told that Anor Bank's competitor is TBC Bank. Come on. TBC holds 1%, Anor Bank holds 1%. What kind of competitor they are? The main competitor of this kind of banks is Agrobank, it's Ipoteka Bank, it's Halkbank, it's super big banks from where you need to take share, right? That's why right now we're not thinking about barriers, we're thinking about our product. I love Mikhail Zvanetsky, and there is an interview where he told that he doesn't go to his fellow friends' concerts, satiric concerts, because their thoughts can interfere with his thoughts. So he will be like them. That's why I don't want to think about competition and I don't want to think about other products, because I don't want someone or something to interfere with my mindset, with my thoughts. That's why we don't think about that.
Yeah, I would agree actually. In the sense that like everyone here, and part of my job here is to pull different entrepreneurship resources together, and try to create a pathway for entrepreneurs. And the amount of support, even from people who are nominally competitors, like everyone realizes the overriding goal is to grow the market, because there's no point in being rats fighting over tiny cheese, right? We need to grow the overall market until because for now there's just no point. Right, like until everyone is banked, why care about market share when there's still plenty of people that need banking services. And same thing with my program. Like everyone wants to help, everyone wants to cooperate, and the end result is everyone winning. Right, like it's a very different market environment than the ones I've been in before.
Right, the brick and mortar style insurance companies are, I would say, some of them are experiencing existential threats, and some of them have recently been closed as well. So, what's your vision on the remaining of the brick and mortar players in the market? What do you see? Where do you see them in the next 5 to 10 year period?
So I love the question, because most insurance companies think that we're competitors with them. We don't have license. We don't have insurance license. We're not obliged to have in Uzbekistan. Yeah, we're agents. So what is insurance company? I go to insurance companies' offices and I define what is insurance company to them. It's an institution who buys risk from the market. That's why he receives insurance premium. If something happens, he pays it, right? He compensates it. If he's not able to compensate, there is a reinsurer who also can buy risk from insurance company and compensate.
Is there a reinsurance market here? Like how big is that?
Yeah, it's not big, but there are reinsurers. Mostly Uzbek insurance companies, they reinsure overseas. Yeah. So first of all, I think they will be present, insurance companies, but they need to change their mindset. They don't have to invest in sales. They don't have to invest in marketing. They need to find companies that do sales and marketing for them. Because when you're an insurance company, you need to be like bank. You need to have very good scoring. We need to have very good database and very good products. That's it. You don't have to build offices all around Uzbekistan. You are an institution. You need to have as many sales channels as you can have and sell your product, right? Buy risk from the market. And this is the way insurance companies need to go in Uzbekistan. So even if they are brick mortar or click mortar or something quasi brick mortar, let's say, right? It doesn't affect them. So they need to do their job. They need to hire more actuary guys, more mathematician guys, more data scientists, and give them data. Because once, I don't want to name that company, I was super shocked. I went to insurance company and I asked for a database. They didn't have IT system. They had Excel.
Yeah, wow.
Manually filled, not generated somewhere in the admin panel. They have Excel. And even with that Excel file, they can Excel.
They can't use it.
They
can.
Yeah, they can Excel. They need team. They need to invest in actuary. They need to invest in data scientists and create new products. See the motor insurance. So we're specialized in motor insurance. What kind of motor insurance do we have in Uzbekistan? We have nothing. We have just ASAGA, which is third-party liability insurance, and we have motor insurance. That's it. If you go to overseas, you have all the insurance products you can imagine. Why we don't have that? Because they don't want to invest.
I wonder if that's a good place to disrupt. I mean, because I wonder how much you could replace that with AI.
Yeah, I love it. I love the product Lemonade in US. I love them.
I use Lemonade.
You see? I love the product Lemonade, how they are disrupting it.
It's so fast. It's so easy.
They started as we started, as a marketplace. Then they bought a license, insure license, because they had enough data. They know the customer. They know the pain of the customer. Now they are insurer. Now they can issue insurance policies, because if insurance companies are negligent to use their data, there is always will be a guy who won't be negligent to use that data and to create the product.
Interesting. I wonder how. Okay, this is a thought example or a thought experiment. How would you actually pull it off here in this market? Like, say, create an app, but where would you get the financing to buy that risk? Like, create an app that, tracks the car, gives you data to price an insurance policy. But then, partner with someone who already has an app on everyone's phone, right? Use that data to price insurance policy, and then resell to reinsurers. The minute you issue the product, you can price it cheaper than existing players, and then resell to a reinsurance.
What you're saying right now to track the car, this was experimented by one insurance company several years ago, and they had cultural problems because clients, they don't want to be tracked. This was the problem.
They're already tracked.
Yes,
you're on Instagram. But you're on Telegram.
No, it's implicitly. They're implicitly being tracked. But when you say it explicitly, they don't want it because somebody has second wife, somebody has something else. They don't want to be tracked. They are lying to someone. That's why they don't want to be tracked. And this was the problem. This company is a very big company, it's top 3 company in Uzbekistan. They tried to do that. They never succeeded. They tried to do that in many years, during many years. In 2-3 years, they invested, but they couldn't succeed.
Azizbek, I just want to ask about the fundraising sides of your startup. How did how are you faring with the current fundraising environment and conditions?
So I was amazed today to see the founder of RealSoft. I will say why. Because this is the only person that I didn't ask money from.
Wow.
So, because in Uzbekistan, I asked money from everybody, even from Zafar Hashimov, everybody that can have money. I was in their house, I was in their office, I was pitching. I pitched to almost anybody and everybody in Uzbekistan that have more than $1 million of money.
Wow.
It was
you've got a large audience of investors then.
Yeah, angel investors. Right. There is a book, Lehki Venture. It's a Russian book, and they use the term Archangel. When there is a big angel, they call it Archangel, like super big angel. So fundraising is easier than it was 5 years ago when I started the Libera project. There are VCs like UzVC, who founded us, Aloka Ventures, and there is
Sturgeon Capital.
Sturgeon Capital. So Swift Launch is also one of the key players, I think, in the industry, because you help from the ideation, and then UzVC and Aloka Ventures catch up. But still we have problem with funding. We have problem because let's say you're starting a business. You don't have idea, let's say. You go to Swift Launch. You raise money. 20, 30K. Okay. You raise the money. Okay. What's next? 100K. You go to Uzbek Local Ventures, right? You raise 100K. Okay. What's next? So you need to raise either $500,000 that we are doing right now. We're raising $500,000 right now, or you're raising $1 million. Where do you go? Problem. Except Sturgeon Capital, of course. You have Sturgeon Capital. Yes, we have Sturgeon Capital. But except Sturgeon Capital, where do you go? You go to Most Venture, you go to somebody else, but they have priority to invest in Kazakh players. Mm-hmm. Because if they have Azizbek and Yerbulat, let's say, the guy, Yerbulat from Kazakhstan, Almaty, and they will invest to that guy, right? And this is one of the problems in Uzbek market. We don't have enough funding. We were finalists at President Tech Award, Sug'urta Bozor, and then at the last stage they declared that it was online voting. It's okay. We didn't win, but the overall budget, thanks to the president, but it was $1 million for all the startups. If you go to Silicon Valley, if you're having coffee and you're buzzing someone, they will write you a check 1 million so that you don't buzzer them from that day on.
It's a different market.
It's a different market, I understand, but you need funding. You need the budget to fail. You need the budget to experiment. So I said to Steven, I went to Westminster University. I said, I have several $1,000s. Let's open endowment fund within Westminster University. I have 10 of my friends. They also want to investment $2,000-$3,000. It's going to be like $50,000. Let's invest to students. Yes, they can buy a MacBook. They can do a mistake. Yes, they can do something. But next time they raise, they're not going to make that mistake, right? So I went to the Westminster. I said, let's open an endowment fund that works and earns money. And from that earned money, they will invest to startups. This was my suggestion. Why? Because in the university level, you need to try. Why Stanford? Why Stanford? Why universities? See the research by Ilyas Trebulayev at Stanford. What does he analyze? He analyzes from which university are unicorns from, right? University, not city, not Mahalla, not Tashkent, not Bukhara, right? They analyze universities. It means that university is first key player in VC industry. Universities need to invest.
That's where the digging into the details happens the most at the universities. So yes. they do.
We're all from Westminster universities. Mm-hmm. Our co-founders were all from Westminster University. Mm-hmm. My previous startup, we were from Westminster University. All of us were economists because we knew each other. I knew that the guy, he's full stack. He knew that I'm marketeer. So we collaborated.
Yeah. What's your take on the tech co-founder? Do you think it's important to have a tech guy in the team?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Right. Mm-hmm. When I understood that, I went to Sug'urta Ventures. By the way, they don't invest in insurance. They don't invest in startups. Don't go to their website. I'm just kidding. So I went to Sug'urta Ventures and I asked money. It was my day-to-day job, asking money. And the question, they understood that there is a business guy, there is a finance guy, there is a marketing guy, there is no tech guy. All the questions were tech. All the questions were tech. I'm saying, guys, I'm not tech guy. And still they are asking tech questions. Then I went to my previous co-founder from Delivera. That's why you need experience. If I didn't have Delivera, I didn't have co-founder today.
Right.
So I asked CTO, I said, can you become CTO in our company? Can you become a co-founder? And after negotiation, etc., he became a co-founder. Then we want to negotiate with co-founder, tech guy. We had no more questions asked about technology.
Right. That's at the stage
of one of the this is one of the angles. And second angle, if you hire IT company, let's say, and you don't have tech in house, they will charge you $100,000. And how do you check that? How do you check it? How do you check them? Well, what's the plan? Well, how are you gonna work? That's why there is always needs to be guy in house, even if he's part time, it's okay. But there needs to be a tech guy. Even though you have no-code platforms, low-code platforms, and all the stuff, AI you have, still you need a tech guy because you need architecture. Everything is architecture. I'm from Bukhara. I love Minorai Kalon because of its architecture. How the thought, it's not building, it's thought. How Usto Bako, he was the architect. So architect, how he thought about that building procedure. He built the basement and escaped. Why? Because basement needs time. And then he returned to Bukhara and then built Minorai Kalon. That's why today you can see Minorai Kalon.
That's right. Yeah. What significance do you give to the technology in the overall organization, like you're trying to build? What significance in percentage terms?
So let's talk about the stage of the startup. If you're on the ideation stage, it doesn't matter because there are so many no-code platforms where you can build an app, Telegram bot, and validate your idea. After that stage, you can have messy code. You can have something not important. You can use any language you want to use, PHP and etc. But after that, starting from the seed stage, you need technology. Because after seed stage, you have media coverage. People hear about you. People hear about success. People like and dislike success. They like success because they want to be successful also, but they dislike success because they want to take success from you. They want to copycat you. That's why we have so many pharmacies, because we have so many alike companies in Uzbekistan. And starting from seed stage, you need to have solid technology that can expand. Talking about Sug'urta Bozor, several months ago we hired DevOps. Because we understand that we're going to Kazakhstan, we're going to Azerbaijan, we're having big partners that will send like several million requests per second. We need architecture. We need solid IT system that gonna work when it's needed, right? That's why technology is super important. But what is more important right now, if you analyze, am I talking too much?
Not at all.
You love it? I'm just kidding. So
carry on.
No, keep on going. That's why I'm here.
Yeah. So if you analyze US market 20 years ago, who led companies? Who led companies? Tech guys or finance guys? Mostly it was finance. See right now who is leading company? Like take Microsoft, take Apple, like all the companies. In general, marketeers rule the world. Yes, you can disagree. There are some companies where you need tech guys as a CEOs, but mostly you need different, not technical mindset to lead.
You need I wouldn't say it's necessarily marketing, although you need to have like a strategic market like orientation. I mean, I don't know, like say Apple, right? Tim Cook. It was always a bit like, because the transition from a long time ago from Steve Jobs to Tim Cook, the whole thing was a transition from like say a visionary to an operations guy, someone who could really optimize the business and leverage its scale. But then I also read up on how Apple's technology is getting, they need a new category buster. They need a whole new, like from iPod to iPhone, right? Will it be, iVision Pro, whatnot? They need another visionary again. But I don't know if you would say that's a marketing guy. Would you call Tim Cook a marketing guy?
I agree that it's more visionary. Yes, he's operating guy. Yeah. He's operating. I love the book Loonshot. I highly recommend to everybody. I will send the link. Loonshot. There is a moonshot word, and there are guys from McKinsey came and said there is a new word, loonshot guys. So there are two kinds of loonshots. Strategy Loonshot and the product Loonshot. Product Loonshot is innovation. It's iPod. It's Steve Jobs. S-type Loonshot is Tim Cook. Because S-type Loonshot is strategy Loonshot. It means you have 5% more margin, 10% less human capital. So you're optimizing everywhere from like day to day, you're optimizing by 1%, 1%, 1%. That's why overall in 10, 15 years, yes, you may be leading. It's a S-type Loonshot. P-type Loonshot when you innovate. So you need boss. You need boss Tim Cook. And there was a movie, Catch Me If You Can. What was the company name? The airline?
Pan Am?
Huh? Pan Am.
Yeah.
Pan Am is typical P-type Loonshot. They innovated. They didn't even care about their cash flow. You can read history of this company. It's solely P-type Loonshot. They innovated. The guy, founder, he took the plane and he crossed the Atlantic Ocean himself. He was the innovator. He said that you can fly through Atlantic Ocean, he said. He took the plane and he did it. Right after that, they started Pan Am. And Boeing 747, all this, how do you call it? Structure was suggested by Pan Am. All the innovations in the airline industry, almost all of them, was created by Pan Am. But they had a problem. The problem was strategy. How do I optimize? How do I do this? How do I fire people when it's needed? How do I minimize the space? How do I do something like, how do I create a solid accounting system so that I can track everything? No, they thought solely about innovation.
Yeah, incremental growth is also significant in the success of the company. On the other hand, I agree in the context of like no sales, no company. Right, sales teams are very strategically important, but at the end of the day, for the sales team to perform, to leverage the best of sales, the product has to be, or the service. In the case of insurance, this is where I see most of the like. I would stress the product, the uniqueness of the product, and the user experience side of the development or solution is being more significant.
It's a really interesting topic and conversation because like for Swift Launch, like, all of our teams are still at the proving the business model phase. But, and I'm hoping, a big majority of these teams will get to the stage where we prove the market, we prove the product, and then we need to build the organization, right? And that, from what I've seen, is like the successful entrepreneur that can go through both of those stages is pretty rare because it's almost two different skill sets, right? One to, relentlessly innovate, constantly test, prove the product and market, find your customer. And then the second one, right, you're trying to build an organization, systemize and scale. And you almost need two like very different skill sets. Because the first one, you're breaking existing norms. The second one, you're creating norms that your company can grow into and scale with, and then optimizing both for culture and strategy, right? I mean, because like creating accounting policy, right? That's not something that most early entrepreneurs think about.
It's not for early entrepreneurs. That's why most startups have 2-3 co-founders. That's why startups are more sustainable. And after reading the book Anti-Fragile, I don't use the word sustainable and robust. I use the anti-fragile. Anti-fragile, you know this word, right? So there is a robust. It means that if something bad happens to the robust, it's going to work. If you're anti-fragile, if something bad happens to you, you'll be stronger. So I call startups anti-fragile because life of a startupper, each day you face something new. And yes, you have 2-3 co-founders, one of them tech guy, one of them this marketeer, like accounting guy or finance guy, whatever. So, or I was trying to, because we start from Uzbekistan. We started from startups and business in Uzbekistan. So here I want to say that Uzbekistan is a great place to have tech co-founder. If we just talk about Bukhara, I love to talk about Bukhara, by the way. You're not.
I love to visit it.
Yeah, you need to.
Mm-hmm.
So Bukhara is a very good place to have a tech co-founder because we have super mass in Bukhara, but I hate to say it, we're not using it. So the guy who knows mass very well, like maximum, he will go to university as a teacher or professor.
Yeah,
that's
what a
it.
Waste.
What a waste. Yes,
Well,
what a waste.
in terms of the potentials or
Yes.
opportunity
No.
cost.
No, I agree. But like, but why is that though? Because like, for example, in my experience, I do agree that that between tech skills and hard skills and say software skills and biz dev, there is a higher weighting here towards tech skills. But I think that's simply because, like the education focused on that first. And I also think that, in my own experience, I've seen lots of tech people, in entrepreneurial roles and, Silicon Valley. It's a lot easier for a tech guy to become, to get business skills, to become, to train in soft skills than the other way around. Like,
Yeah.
I've seen maybe one sales guy learn how to code like really well. And, all the other times it was, 9 times out of 10, it was the other way around. Like tech guys that learn how to pitch, that learn how to network, that learn how to build an organization.
They don't have to, I think. They don't have to. Why they need to learn how to pitch? If they're a tech guy, he needs a co-founder.
If they have a co-founder.
And this is cultural problem in Uzbekistan. People don't like business partners. People don't like business partners. They want to own 100% of the company or 51% of the company. They don't like co-founders.
They want to own 100% of nothing.
Yes, we talked about this. Yes.
The mindset is changing. Of course, mindset is changing. But still, we need to change the mindset of co-founder mindset. Whatever I did with my business partner.
Well, that's a zero-sum mentality, of course.
Yeah, I've come across that, and it's interesting. And I think we might have touched on it briefly before, but I think a different framing can help a lot because, like in our program, we say don't focus on percentage because if you do, that makes it sound like you only have 100 of these points to go around. When that's the complete wrong approach. We talk about, okay, value per share. How do we increase the value per share for all of us? And that tends to, I guess, change the mindset a little bit so people can focus on, okay, how do we work together to build something cool as opposed to, fight each other over shares of zero.
Yeah, so this is the mentality that I don't like in Uzbekistan. First, what I don't like is this mentality. And second, Uzbekistan is underrepresented because I would love to see startups that are joint ventured, like the guy from, let's say, US, who is super presenter, who is like super marketeer, who's entrepreneur, and guy from Uzbekistan, who is super tech guy. We can start this way, right? Yeah. And then we can learn from them. They can learn from us. Definitely. But to do so, first we need a platform to connect them. There is a Silk Innovation Hub, I think, in US, in Silicon Valley right now. Yeah. This is one of the hubs right now. Great, but guys. We need more media coverage. That I told on Dario recently, if you remember, just put the Uzbekistan TV or whatever TV channel you want. What advertisement do you see?
To be honest,
boxing. If you talk about like spheres, boxing and chess. Boxing and chess. No one talks about startup. For Uzbekistan, startup is a new company. Is a startup. If it doesn't have money, it's startup. If it has money, it's not startup anymore. So we need more media coverage in Uzbekistan and about Uzbekistan outside of the world. Because in Dubai, so right now they know about Uzbekistan. 5 years ago, I met a guy. He was close to Sheikh of of Dubai or United Arab Emirates. I cannot remember. I met him in Namangan. We were staying in the same hotel, and I see this white clothing, and I said, "Oh, are you from Arab country?" He said, "Yeah, I'm this. I participate in majlises of the sheikh and etc." And we started to talk. And do you know that I'm from Bukhara Sharif? I said, "Oh, I love Bukhara Sharif, but it's a pity that in Arab world people don't know about Bukhara, and people don't know that Bukhara is in Uzbekistan. So our country is underrepresented." So what I think right now, we need first in-house marketeers in Uzbekistan, in-house marketeers that markets this kind of ventures like startups within Uzbekistan, and another group of people that represents Uzbekistan outside the world. See any country in the world, they had learning curve. They copycatted, they did something, they opened the joint ventures with, like, let's say, American companies, Western companies, and etc. They learned from them. See how McDonald's affected HoReCa industry in Russia.
Yeah.
Yes, it was 96. If I'm not, I'm born on 96. How do I know this McDonald's? Because Michael Jackson planned to go to Moscow 96. He had 2 concerts. So 93, he was his first concert, and the second should be at 96, and then, bless you.
Pardon me?
No, it's okay. So 96, McDonald's opened, and then I was interested how it affected the HoReCa industry, how it affected fast food industry. You know what happened?
What happened?
McDonald's paid little money to people, but they taught them. And guys, entrepreneurs started to open fast food chains, and they started to hire from McDonald's, paying them more.
Yeah.
McDonald's helped them to nurture a super new generation of specialists in the fast food industry.
Yeah.
So we need companies like McDonald's in tech industry, where you can go. Yes, you can get paid less, but you need to learn from them. And you know what is interesting fact? IT specialists in Uzbekistan, they get paid more than in Western countries. If you see the Upwork, if you go to the guy and ask how much is your hour, let's say, he will say you $100. If you go to Upwork, it's $50. Because in Uzbekistan, service fees are super high. It means that those Western guys can come here and take that money. Yes, let them take that money, but teach us how to do that, how to do the startup.
I see.
So there are several ways how to nurture this kind of specialists. First of all, it's franchises like McDonald's.
Yeah.
Second is office branches. Let's say if Google opens an office branch in Tashkent or Bukhara, let's say, or Fergana.
Fantastic.
Yeah, fantastic. You go there. Yes, they pay you $500. It's okay. You'll learn. After 10 years, you'll see the boom.
Exactly.
And because they have corporate innovation. This is where you connect. We need more corporate innovation also.
Yeah. No. Like it's a really interesting market, and to be honest, it's a lot of fun. Like we go to all these different companies. We tell them, look, you can sponsor a team, you can create a new idea. And yeah, like a lot of companies that I see are just really supportive. I'd love to get more foreign companies here as well, because there's I see incredible young people here. They learn super fast, and I think that if we just had a big win that we could show, that would put Uzbekistan on the map, just get people to pay a little bit more attention. I think once we get the first couple people in, like everyone else will follow.
Yes, I totally agree with the big win, because big win is like a super event for media coverage.
Yeah.
But yes, you can have a big win and have a burst, or each day you can talk something about Uzbekistan and our industry. There's two ways around, right? Or you can do something like P-type moonshot, innovation, right? Super big exit, right? Or you can talk about Uzbekistan everywhere. You can represent Uzbekistan because we have so many opportunities. Any sphere in Uzbekistan, any. I'm 100% sure about my statement. Any industry in Uzbekistan, it's a super blue ocean. Any.
I'm just spitballing here, but it'd be interesting if there'd be a way to get more digital nomads here.
Yes.
All right, because like Bukhara, I mean, this is a gorgeous city, and it's not like internet is hard to get, right? I mean, and like it's actually like from a time zone perspective, you got you have like you can work with people in Southeast Asia and in Europe at the same time.
Yes.
If you had a separate team, right? Like I know it's annoying for me to call friends at home, but imagine a tech company in the States that had an office here, right? Your production is 24/7. You have people, your employees at home go to bed, right? People here continue where they left off, right? In other words, your company no longer has to deal with night. So there's a lot of really cool opportunities here that people just haven't come across because Uzbekistan is just such a new brand, right? People just haven't heard of it yet. But I think once people get a little bit more educated and people, learn a little bit more past the stereotype and whatnot, I think they'll like what they find here.
It's a pity that Uzbekistan is not brand yet. Because to be brand, we need 10-15 years to be Uzbek brand. I was curious, you said digital nomad. We need to ask ourselves what digital nomad needs, right? If you're a person, you're from US or like Western country, and you want to be a digital nomad. First, I think you need internet to work, right? Second, I think you need some entertainment. Because our CTO considers himself digital nomad. He lived in Turkey 2 months, he lived in Vietnam, he lived in many countries, and he travels. Yes, he joins to our stand-up meetings, but he traveled all around the world. He will travel to Japan and etc. And I asked the question, how do you choose the country? He said, first, stable internet. Second, stable country. No wars and etc. Yes, it's by default. Still, right now, it needs to be taught. So third, he said it's climate. And fourth is entertainment, restaurant industry, club industry, and etc. So we have internet, we have safe country, we have good climate because we have mountains, not in the Tashkent city because climate is super bad in Tashkent city, but we have mountains. We have such an asset in Uzbekistan where you can go to the mountains. We have super resorts like Amersfoort Resort where you can book a hotel, right? Open your laptop and work from there. We have everything for digital nomads.
Yeah, digital nomads are the best technology transfer agents because of their. We're sitting in front of one of them. So he's a nomad, and he's also a big transferring agent of an American know-how in startups, in business, and in operations in general. So I tend to think. We always kind of are focused on inviting bigger players into the scene, into the landscape, and that's where most of the effort is made. But at the end of the day, the world statistics keeps highlighting the significance of small, medium players in any industry. So I'm also really pro free, creating the right conditions to attract the right talent, at least in the role of nomads. And once they get and settle down, once they get to know the country better, they definitely spread the message across the world, across their regions, and that's how we get to kind of connect the regions and fill the gaps and bridge the divides.
Yeah, no, Gosh, if anyone is listening out there, yeah, I've had an amazing time here in Uzbekistan. Met incredible people, seen incredible places. Yeah, like Uzbekistan in particular, but all of Central Asia is kind of like, I would say, the best kept secret in travel. It's something a lot of people really should see.
We're keeping this
hungry
secret.
for new ideas as well. As you know, as we've been discussing, Uzbekistan is like a sleeping queen, which with lots of pain points across the industries, across the verticals, where problems have been waiting for decades to be solved, and especially if it's a technological solution. By smart people who've bothered to kind of come up with some solutions for them in other geographies, in other regions. Uzbekistan is undergoing I think one of a kind digitalization, digital transformation across the country, and I think everything is turning digital here and leapfrogging lots of more established markets, thanks to lack of regulation, which is a big advantage, because if you want to move or change things in European context, it means a huge mountain of regulatory burdens which are virtually non-existent in Uzbekistan. You can come and plug and play here really with your solutions.
No, it's really cool. I mean, on top of the regulatory issues, I would say it's the fact that you're not dealing with legacy structures. You're not dealing with, say, legacy. You're not dealing when you make, if I make a pitch of, say one of my teams is building software for a company, right? And to be honest, like in the States, you'd be asking to rip out an ERP system, right, that the company has already spent millions of dollars on, in this massive amounts of labor getting set up, right? Whereas here, your competitor is not, say, Oracle. Your competitor here is pen and paper. Your competitor here is an Excel sheet that is manually filled out. Right, which means that
it's Excel shit.
No, like oh gosh, like I used to be in finance, so we have a sad number of Excel jokes, but the key thing is that if you're a startup in the States trying to compete against Oracle, right? I mean, good luck, right? But here, right, you can build specifically to Uzbek needs. And not just that, but you can try new things of doing things. Like, for example, this team is building a product where, okay, the problem here is, it's very hard to implement because, a lot of procedures don't exist. And instead of creating out this massive system, you say, okay, we have inputs from Excel sheets from 5 different departments, and we put it all together, have AI analyze it, right? And boom, a leapfrog, right? Skipping the old way of doing things and doing things in a cool new way, right? That will be accepted by the customer here because they don't have a legacy system to throw away first. And that's a really cool environment for entrepreneurs that you don't see in many places.
Yeah. For system thinkers, Uzbekistan is a heaven. Is a great playground because there are so many fragmented solutions, or if there are solutions, but there are the markets are fragmented, players are fragmented. There is a huge demand for managerial and process know-how. We know lots of frameworks, world famous frameworks. There are like virtually unknown in Uzbekistan, and the processes are the make and break factor in any country where you may have lots of resources, but due to a lack of decent processes, you can waste it all in vain. So that's why we I highly recommend the people with the right processes, with the right solutions, and with the right know-how, managerial know-how and skills, to consider Uzbekistan as a must-go place, at least for an introductory, visits.
I would say I think markets like Uzbekistan are just super cool because, I mean, I can even if you're not a VC, even if you're not some big investment company, if you're just like, say, a tech guy in California, or a tech guy, or anybody, just any business guy with a cool idea, right? You can test it here so much faster and with so much less capital. Just come, and just, get a team started, build out a product and test it in the market, because you won't have the same hurdles that you would in, an oversaturated market like the States, right? Like, you can try something completely new, right? And you're not confounding, you're not confounding the test with like, oh, is it because they already have this product? Is it because, we don't have that brand, right? Like, because this is a wide open market. And not just in terms of tech, but in terms of branding, in terms of new processes, in terms of new ways of doing things, right? Like, each country only goes through a transformation like this once, right? And Uzbekistan is going through it right now under optimal conditions, with new tech like cresting, like becoming available right at the same time.
That's right.
Yeah. Right.
And there's a huge pool of crude talent as well.
Yeah.
Waiting for it to be I would say, guided towards some meaningful means, meaningful goals.
An extraordinarily fertile field.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. But shoot, we spent the whole time talking about like insurance markets and generational change. I guess we should also talk a little bit like something a little bit less serious, I suppose. Like I have a friend of mine might be coming in a few months. Where should I take him in Tashkent?
Well, Tashkent is full of places, full of sites that you may potentially go and see, and a great place to experience lots of things. And Tashkent is well known for its famous sites like historic buildings in the ancient buildings in Old Town, and the big bazaar, which is also very famous across the world. I would say.
Yeah, I actually did go to Bukhara for Stahia, or I went to a Stahia actually, which is like this kind of Burning Man in Uzbekistan. Super fun event. And Bukhara, like I had this guy create this. He was taking this, like, essentially this bronze plate and this little chisel and a hammer, and he made this gorgeous plate that was just stunning. I remember thinking, like, sure, if you find this in a gallery, it's like in New York or Soho, right? Like this thing would cost a ridiculous amount of money. I bought two just to send to my friends back home, because it was this meticulous craftsmanship. So yeah, I think there's a lot of cool things to see here, and I think really people should really give it a shot.
Yeah. And you also mentioned the mountains. The Tashkent is kind of like few miles away from the snowy mountains.
Oh yeah,
ski resorts are also very modern, sophisticated, and well equipped.
Yeah, I just went to Amersoy last week actually. Like my legs are still sore. I really need to exercise more.
Right.
But yeah, it's crazy because, like, you see people from, like, Dubai and stuff. They fly to Europe and whatnot, and Amersoy is way closer and is really nice. It's like a really nice ski resort. And it's surprising. It's surprising, like, what, like, people haven't seen just because they never had, just never heard about it before. And in many ways, it is a real front. It's a frontier, not because it's wild, but it's a frontier because people just don't know about it.
Exactly. Yeah. There's a huge awareness. Lack of awareness about the region itself altogether, because we used to be behind Iron Curtain for several decades. So I wouldn't blame anyone. I tend to come across lots of people during my travels where people don't recognize the country by name, but they associate it with some problematic regions, and only then can they recognize it.
Right.
But that said,
more marketers are needed.
Yeah, exactly. That said, the interest towards this region as a new discovery is there. We're really appreciative of the new first entrants or early movers like yourselves. And during my recent trip to London, I was eyewitness of the amount of attention to the country. The IT event that was organized by IT Park Uzbekistan was attended in multiples of the numbers expected. And the interest is there. And talking about the funding, investment, resources are also there. I started seeing problem on the side of the founders and the initiative. If there are enough people with the right mind frame and with the right initiative, with the right solutions, willing to work hard, willing to go the extra mile to make things, to take things to a logical end. I'm sure there's lots of creative capital in search of viable projects, and Sturgeon is in search of such projects. I know.
No, it's why they're here. And yeah, I think Sturgeon is on the cutting edge in realizing what opportunity is here. But I also think that like other digital nomads, I think people with afflicted by wanderlust, I think they would find a lot to see here. And it's a really interesting country, culture, people dynamic. Because like I said, like countries in the position or in the state of development that Uzbekistan is are very rare.
Stefan Azizbek, I'm really, really pleased to have you in our show. I hope that you'll come again, and we'll have more interesting discussions about like whole host of interesting topics in the startup landscape of Uzbekistan.
Gosh, no.
Thank you very much for allocating a valuable time.
No, my pleasure. I had a blast. In the future, I'm sure we can bring lots of awesome, cool people such as yourselves, and I'm sure we can bring in. We can cover a wide range of topics.
And thank you for having me. I think what you started as a RS podcast is wonderful. But it's going to be wonderful when it's going to be systematic. It means that after 3 years, if you have like the podcast, you have the time each week when people can expect the podcast and they can see and can learn something. Because I found out that even in startup world, in the business world, people start many very amazing things, but they don't continue. And I wish you continuation of this podcast so that we can come here twice, 3 times, 4 times, not as speakers, not as guests, but as maybe anchors and etc.
I feel like I've just been given a homework assignment. No, this is what we do for fun. So I'm sure we'll keep on doing it.
Yeah, continuity is our priority, of course. Yeah.
And of course, I just got my poker set from Amazon overseas, so we'll have to get that poker game going. And I think we're going to have a great time, and I'm sure that we can bring lots of cool, awesome people for everyone at home to hear.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be the only time and the only poker game when you put on stake the shares in company.
Oh, hey, now that's an idea.
Yeah, that's a wake-up call.
We could make that happen. Like, I mean, it wouldn't have to be huge shares. It could be like, token shares, but it could.
Why we're having Steven as advisor, like co-founders, asking from me? It's a long story.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to teach that in class, but I think we could have a lot of fun.
Yeah, we have to be like a creative with the content. I was really surprised. It was literally a few hours ago that they told me that the US audience was the biggest part of it. I was really surprised why they watched it. But in terms of like, of course, I know Uzbekistan, virtually unknown in America.
Yeah.
So
I wonder what the algorithm is picking up on. So where in America? If you don't mind me asking.
Well, we can dig into the details, but I mean, of course, the larger audience of English-speaking material from this region is there. I know that.
U.S. and
US
UK.
and UK.
Yes.
Okay, no,
Because we have to pick up on
could be it could be it might have because I did repost on Sturgeon, but okay. I wonder if it's because we posted or it's because of keywords that were picked up by the algorithm.
You know what I hope for? That Jalol from United States and the Medina from London like this podcast. I'm just kidding. I'm saying that there is Uzbek audience abroad.
That's
Yeah,
a good idea. If
yeah.
you just well, if you're connected with them, we have to.
Yeah. Because what I see right now, so many people abroad, Uzbeks, they are listening to our podcasts and they are super interested. Because I was in the US and the last few months, as I was listening to Yıldız Usmanova crying. I said, I need to go to Bukhara and I need to go to Tashkent and etc. And this is the patriotic feeling, and I see the how do you call it? I see correlation between your distance from your motherland and your patriotism. It works vice versa. Yes, if you're like far abroad, you're a super patriotic guy. Yeah,
That's a good point. There is a language vacuum. Like there is a huge diaspora of Uzbek English speakers living abroad.
Yeah,
They want to, as you say, the material. They are somehow connected to the land. So the material may find its way to their feed information feeds, and that might be. I mean, I'm pretty sure most of those 500 out of 500 people are of Uzbek origin. I wouldn't be surprised, and they are interested. And on the other hand, once they watch it, if they like it, they'll probably share it with someone who would be potentially interested. After my by the way, I wonder if I've told you about it. After my presentation at the IT event in London in December, there was a huge kind of many people lining up wishing to talk to me about the things that I've discussed.
Yeah,
I was just really selling Uzbekistan the way Keen does, because he's my virtual master.
Wait, Dennis Keane?
No,
Okay.
Keen Zandia, the Sturgeon guy.
Oh, Keane. Okay, yeah,
Keane.
yeah. Okay.
Anyway, because they are outside the box, and their comments and their feedback carry a certain way.
Yeah.
Because they are more neutral, they're more unbiased than us. So anyway, I was just taking on what he started off. So. And then one of the guys happened to be a managing director, managing partner of a $27 billion fund. And then he said, we have $10 million to invest in Uzbekistan. Of course, it's as a result of the conversations that
Fantastic.
of course we
10 million.
Well done, Keane.
and then he'll be coming this March to Tashkent. So
Right. Love to show him around.
Yes, I will show you.
Yeah. I mean, he's
At the left side, you see the Sug'urta Bozor, and at the right side, you can see our pitch deck, and we're raising $500,000.
And every time you take him to a sightseeing to a site,
Yes.
of course,
The guys they're running and showing the pitch decks.
and connecting the Uzbek IT startup players to the incubators abroad.
Yeah.
I don't believe you consider them as your competitors. Being an incubator to start.
Like we said, the market. The focus here is
creating the market.
I should do as I preach, right? The focus here is growing the market as opposed to fighting over scraps. I think another good guest might be the founder of Mock, because maybe we should expand the pool, not just tech but also creative industries. Right. Because that'll give you a range of guests.
We're open for ideas.
Okay,
Whatever makes
cool.
it better.
I mean, what would you if your goal was to create a podcast that gave foreign Americans or Europeans an insight into Uzbekistan, what kind of guests would you want? Sorry to put you on the spot.
No, I need to think about that. So I will think first about pains of those guys, what they need to hear. First, I think they don't want to hear about tech because they have enough tech in their countries. Tech is the last thing I want to hear from Uzbek podcasts. Trust me.
Yeah.
For me, it's
because like thing is like if
I have Shark Tank. I have like so many like shows on ABC that I want to hear about tech.
Yeah.
I would choose something different.
No, it has to be more country specific. The tech language speaking, like with people with a good command of English, would have like an ocean of content if they want to learn something or if they want to find out. But again, you never know. You can never be sure.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, you can never be sure. I was surprised to talk to a 27 billion pound dollar fund manager showing interest and inviting me to his office, in the following days. He said, why don't you come over? When I was there, the chief of like private equity investments of EBRD was sitting waiting.
cool.
I was surprised, and they were listening to me like babies, listening to stories. Really, I was really selling Uzbek. I said, I was being a little bit pragmatic because I know that their mindset. I have a little bit of an insight of how they think, how they look at opportunities. They don't go anything that comes their way. I know how selective they are. Blah blah blah. And I was just fitting into their framework of of like. Thinking thoughts, but still, that said, they were so curious. The curiosity was there. They said, I want to go there.
Like, there are not a lot of frontiers left, right? And when I talk to my friends overseas, like I say Uzbekistan, they're like, what, Uzbekistan? They're curious, right? There's immediate interest because it's something so like something unknown to them.
Yeah.
And from the startup sphere, what I found out in Uzbekistan? It's super easy to find money if you're raising $10 million. It's super easy.
Yes and no. First of all,
for a company.
yes, in terms of yes.
Where do I find this $10 million?
Yes, in terms of there is a huge uncommitted capital in search of good projects with good track record, like early track record. With early successful traction, and valuations are much higher in a Western context. Like this same number of users or this same number of cash flow may attract more capital abroad than in Uzbekistan. That's for sure. And no, in terms of like there are lots of as I said, copycats without any unique like selling propositions. That's safe enough for them to invest. Like any quick follower can leapfrog you in a short space of time. That's you have to make it maximum secure for them to put their money in. So they look, on the other hand, they're like 5x 10x return is what they eye. Plus they add the risk premium.
So I'm specifically talking about me and our project. I talked, as I said, I pitched to almost everyone. I also pitched to Russian banks, and one of them was Savcombank.
Why is that bank? Do they do equity investments?
Because banks, first of all, they have money. Second of all, it's near to insurance industries, adjacent to insurance industry. Second and third, Savcombank was entering Uzbek market, and I had insight about that. So
if I may ask, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, sure.
Did you talk to them to attract loans from them, like debt capital?
No.
Risk capital?
Investment.
So
VC investment.
Equity.
Yes.
Right.
And his response was, our due diligence costs like 250K.
Oh, yes.
And we don't even want to think about investment 200K or 100K, bearing in mind that our DD costs like a lot of money, first of all. And second of all, they said, if you had very nice track record, we could buy you out, like let's say like 40%, 50%, because you have a team and you have an insight about Uzbekistan. And I talked to him and I got an insight. It was like 2.5 years ago. I pitched him in his hotel. I went to the reception. I found this guy. I pitched him there.
Russia?
No, here in Tashkent.
Okay.
Yes. He's Russian guy. He's he's one of the chairmen of that bank. And I pitched him, and I found out that when you're big enough, and when you have track record to raise, it's much more easier in Uzbekistan because there is so much capital. Then I found several funds in Uzbekistan, and they were looking at the business. Let's say you have a hospital. So the chairman is asking, how many hospitals do you have? And a businessman is answering 2 hospitals. Oh, if you had like 12 hospitals around Uzbekistan, we could give you like $20 million, $50 million.
Yeah.
So I think there is a gap in Uzbekistan between this seed stage and the A stage. There is a super gap. But if you're A stage, and if you're a foreign company, if you want to open a branch here, or if you want to enter Uzbekistan, there is so much capital in Uzbekistan, just from banks, like let's say EBRD, KfW, and etc.
Well, they have transactional costs. It's always been there. These limitations or these thresholds have always been there because Uzbekistan, even back in the day, like we can go as far as 10 years, when the private equity funds wishing to make investments in Uzbekistan's textile and more or less significant industries, they always set a minimum threshold of $3 million because of those transactional costs, because they can't hire locals for cheap. They tend to hire expensive lawyers, expensive auditors from where they come from, which will incur like multiples of what it would cost it locally. But now, of course, with Big Four well established in Uzbekistan, even that is the case, that they run by the international rates. So that's one of the key reasons, and we have to categorize them pretty carefully, because seed capital and venture capital can go in, pretty.
How you fix that gap?
There's a huge fragmentation.
Yeah.
Fragmentation in terms of they don't want to deal with individual startups. They want to deal with, I would say, accumulators. The guys who can dig into
with a
portfolio. Well, you can be a good candidate for them, because they want the ready cooked meals, because they have they're sitting on a lot like billions of dollars of like dry powder, so-called dry powder, meaning uncommitted capital, but secured capital. So they secure funding from different sources, different institutional investors, and the funds that I've kind of spoken to say, we've divested most of our commitments in Russia, like investments in Russia, and we're sitting on they're sitting on a bunch of cash to reinvest in more or less significant, like with projects with significant upside
specifically
potential.
Tech, or are they looking more?
It's mostly tech driven. I mean, it's the case with many of the large funds that because of the security it can offer. Tech-driven projects are more secure from the standpoint of political risk, like region-specific risks, because they tend to, be subjected to all sorts of difficulties in other regions. So they are more cautious about the brick and mortar projects.
Right. No one gets angry at you for tech, right? Like it's one of the
I mean, look at Zudmol, for example. All the infrastructure is abroad.
Right.
If not all, significant part of it is abroad. Yandex being in Switzerland, or like Telegram being in Dubai.
Right.
So you can be outside the region, but still be, monetizing a product without having much of a physical presence. And without being subjected to all sorts of obstacles and red tape.
Right. Okay.
Yes, and as a possible solution, I think, regarding this gap, I think this kind of funds, I love what Most Ventures is doing. They showed some success cases, they did some exits, and now they have a lot of foreign funds giving them $10 million, $20 million, because they have expertise, and they don't have to give by 2-3 millions, right? They can cut them, and they can segregate the risk, let's say. So we need more funds like this that can take money from funds of funds, because when UzVC was founded, it was intended to be a fund of funds, and then they become a VC fund. So intention was super different, Because if they are fund of funds, so who will be the player that take money from them and invest? No players, right? Aloka Ventures came after them. That's why we need more players like UzVC, more VC players that they can ask from fund of funds or big corporations, banks and etc. Money, and to spread the money in the economy.
There's a huge market of wholesale capital,
Yes.
risk capital we're talking about, not debt capital. I would say the market is not yet established. We only have a handful of players, and awareness raising again with the material. Like we're kind of preparing. We're doing our fair share. Hopefully, we'll be doing more.
Okay.
And then I think there should be more like stakeholders, promoting Uzbekistan, not in the sense of like making a false claims and false assumptions, or like shaping false assumptions about Uzbekistan, but just really kind of help them, discover the region, discover the opportunities, and facilitate the and inform the decision making process, like processes of like risk capital providers in different regions where they're sitting on a bunch of cash. We know that, and what's left of it is like is just going and accessing that with good ideas, good founders, good implementers.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool. For the next direction of the next podcast, I mean, there's a lot of places we can take this. I mean, we can we can get people that say organize to here, right? We can get a lot of creatives here, right? Not just, I mean, tech as well, but other stuff that people don't know is in Uzbekistan.
I would love to see in the next podcast either who got experience in franchises, bringing franchises to Uzbekistan, because I think most counterparts around the world will be interested. First, and second, if you're talking Uzbek market, we'll also need to convey our message to Uzbekistanians, right?
Yeah.
I would invite investor or fund. Let's say Abu Dhabi fund. No, not Aloka Ventures. No. Abu Dhabi fund, something like big funds here. Okay. Where do they invest?
We can go if they don't come.
yeah.
Can't we?
Yeah.
We can.
We can tour Dubai, which is like closer than Samarkand, in both in cost and convenience.
$60.
Really?
Yeah.
It is $60. Visa Air.
It's dirt cheap. It's dirt cheap to go to Dubai.
Yes.
I am buying off the wrong websites.
Are you?
Dang it, yeah.
How much did you buy it for?
Like, I don't know, 150, 200?
Well, it's not that bad because depending on how close the dates are. Like if you're flying next week, of course you buy for 150. We bought it for 100 because we bought it like few days earlier. Okay. But if you buy like 3-4 months in advance, of course you get 50.
I paid a forward price for like everything.
But again, that said,
you're investing in our economy. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll be going to London this February. Hopefully, we have some arrangements there.
Okay, cool.
So those funds are being one out of like tens. Really, there are so many of them. They have no clue about Uzbekistan.
Yeah.
So I was discussing it with Donior earlier this morning. I said we have to do. We can do lots.
What type of investments are they interested in? What's their flavor?
Across industries, and the big term. Like you can kind of I would say make a like a magnet for them is Uzbekistan is an emerging market. So once they hear the word, they say, okay, I want to talk to you. If you're from an emerging market, I'm an emerging market firm, and
Certain says primed emerging market.
Wow,
right?
that's a new fancy term.
Just hit an inflection point, emerging market. Right, like they do their job well.
I highly recommend to listen to Kian's podcasts about Uzbekistan. They're really attractive.
Yeah.
I mean, I would be interested if someone pitched me some other country, and if I had like billions of dollars, like at least hundreds of millions of dollars.
Because I pitched it. It's interesting because talking to investors in UK is usually easier than talking to investors in America. Like American capital is typically more conservative. But you know what? Like you get some good projects off the ground. So what the funding like they say funding for anything, not just tech, but like say real estate. Like what kind of yields are they looking for?
Well, like it depends on what funds you're looking at.
Right.
If you're talking about private equity funds, they
Yeah.
would be interested in like doubling their money in 5 year time span,
Okay.
or up to 7 years maximum.
Less than 20% per year.
Okay.
Yeah, of course, depending on the size of the fund
Okay.
and commitment they make to their institutional investors
Okay.
and the conditions in local, market.
Yeah.
There are so many funds that they have, that they have yet to know about this land and the risks that they are exposed to in like African continent is they are huge. They are humongous, and
I mean, if they're okay with Africa, right?
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I was actually I'm more on the tech side now because of the considerations I've highlighted earlier. But private equity is a huge thing but going back to your remarks about America being conservative, America is too big to generalize.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. I mean, like in terms of, that's true. In terms of like, the thing is, like, in terms of funds, because I previously reached out to some people who worked at the like global advisory, right? Like, so I talked to a guy who worked at global advisory at Wells Fargo, another at BOA, and like the thing is, like they literally they asked their coworkers like, hey, about what do we have in Uzbekistan? They said, no, closest thing we have is Kazakhstan, all right. And and these are big banks, and so like the type of capital that could come to, like, the thing is, like, they also take mandates very seriously, right? Like they can't cross mandates. So like I was talking to individuals, right? Be like, private, like high net worth folks. And at the same time it's a big education ask. But the fact that the Brits, like, I think a little bit more comfortable with emerging markets, I think is a good sign.
Yeah, I mean, they're more overwhelmed than conservative because they're overwhelmed with the number of inquiries coming from all sides.
Interesting.
And on the other hand, when you make the price clear, price is easy. So if you come up with something unique, well-founded facts behind it, with enough transparency to dig into, and they want to know more. And I'm a live witness of a recent case. They immediately said $10 million, no problem. Are there any suits? Are there any candidates to take that money? Of course, it's not a grant money. Even if it was grant money, there would be a whole host of requirements and criteria to meet. But that said, the interest is there. It's you don't want to be kind of kicking cans here, kicking tires. If you come up with something really solid, and the interest is there. Like Uzum is a huge. It's too special, too unique to mention as an example. But I heard that the investors were kind of battling their way into the equity.
Really?
Well, it's like they're going to reach 10,000 collection points this year. It's a huge growth, and the business model is not like it's a copycat. It's been in Europe.
It's a one that works.
Exactly. I mean, the copycat is might sound a little bit I would say, what do you call this, controversial, but there are so many proven business models that can readily be kind of deployed, if not by the original founders, by the locals. And then you can still build up a business operations or like a value creation mechanisms, processes, and systems, and then attract them because they're not brave enough to move. You're brave enough to, being local. So the risks they see, or the risk they will be exposed as foreigners, are not going to be, the same to you. So that's where you kind of
shoot. I was gonna say something about emerging market risk. I'll save it for next time.
Keep it for the next time.
Right. Thank you very much.
Yeah.